Good morning, people. Okay, today we are doing a ramble video. I am just going to sit back, relax, talk about different things. I have made notes yesterday, so I have found some topics that we can talk about. I will put titles down here so you guys can jump around, because maybe, this will end up 2 hours. Hopefully not 3 hours, but who knows when we start talking about things. So you can take this in your own pace. You can see one chapter each day if you like, or you can just watch it all while you do laundry or while you're making dinner. I have missed doing this so much, but I think that I kept away from it because that I haven't been organized enough when it comes to doing ramble videos. And I know ramble videos is ramble, so why do you need to be organized, you might ask? Well, because that my Libra brain does need some guidelines. Otherwise, I'm gonna end up talking about one topic for 1 hour. And, well, maybe we do that anyway, but, then my brain is just turning to mush. So I think it's a good idea that I have made notes, so I will look into the notes now and then. There is one thing that I want to talk about, and all the topics, well, besides the first topic that we are going to talk about, is actually something that I have been guided to talk about by Spirit. And one of the topics is something that I found in a book that I wrote down years ago. I don't know when. I don't think that I actually made notes about when I made it. No. And it's about relationships. So I thought that could actually be fun to talk about that. I did make a post where I asked you guys what topics you guys want to talk about. And Patrick made a comment about talking about ghosts. So yeah, we're definitely going to start out with that. So thank you, Patrick. Patrick is actually one of the people that would be perfect to make an episode with one day talking about spirits, because that he is a ghost hunter. I will link his channel up here so you guys can go check him out. So underneath that comment, someone said, what was it? Haunted castles? Was that it? I can't remember it anymore. I mean, obviously I have visited one haunted castle in Denmark, and I spoke about it in a Halloween episode. I will link that video up here. Obviously, I do have all my paranormal videos on my vlog channel. We'll put a link if you guys are interested in watching that. It's actually a long time. Also, now that we are on the topic of ghosts, it's a long time since I did anything close to the paranormal, actually. Well, besides what I do here with channeling, because it's actually is a part of what we're going to speak about now. Spirits, ghosts, whatever it is, demons, whatever you want to call it. So when we come to the chapter where we're going to talk about channeling, I would touch upon this as well. This topic, when it comes to spirits, is actually the only topic where I didn't really write anything down, because that what better way to just let spirit guide us with what we should talk about. And when I was getting ready, one thing that popped up was to talk about crystals that attract spirit, that attracts spirit guides and guardian angels or whatever else you want to call it, and all that shebang. So again, I'm I am free-flowing. I'm free-flowing. Just, again, be with me, stay with me, jump around. But let's just do that. Let's talk about the crystals that attract spirit, or crystals that you can work with when you want to channel, when you want to communicate with spirit. And the first crystal that I learned about is labradorite, and it's the yellow. You can see this by, let's see here. The normal labradorite, which is like this one, is blue. Obviously, you can use the blue labradorite. But if you want to do channeling, the yellow labradorite is perfect for it. I have my basket here, because when it comes to labradorite, I actually have a lot. And with the crystal calendar, I got another labradorite. So I have a lot of that. And I'm just going to briefly, talk about that. I'm not going to go into details because I think I should do a separate video about that. I have actually made a video about labradorite, so I will link it up here. But labradorite is one of my all-time favorite crystals, because when I want to do channeling, I just feel that, well, first of all, the energy that comes through is very high. It is what I feel, and I speak from my experiences. It might be different for other people, but I feel it's very much connected with the universe. Like, I feel the channeling is it's soft, it's direct, it's spot on, it's linked together with your higher self, the universe, your spirit guides. And I love using the yellow one if I want to communicate with people who passed over. When I do my past live sessions with people, when I do the healing sessions, I always use labradorite, because that I can tap into this other level of my, let's just go with it. I heard yes. My brain is trying to say the perfect words. Yeah, my consciousness, my 5D levels, my higher self, you guys' higher self, you guys' spirit guides, because that's what I work with when I do my healing sessions. So for that work, labradorite is perfect. Another crystal that I read up on, that I actually, well, maybe I have, but now that because I'm holding it, I haven't used it, but I read that you can also use selenite. Did I say something else? We're still Mercury retrograde, by the way. When you want to communicate with spirit. Selenite is one of the purest crystals, and just holding it actually makes me feel that it's deeply connected with angels. Ancestors comes to mind. Ancestral healing. Yeah. If you want to be, and this is purely from just my intuition right now, if you want to work with spirit and you want to purely have good spirit coming through, which, why would you have demons come through? Well, I guess that if you are Patrick from the haunted side, you might want to tickle the bad spirits, right? So Patrick, you should not use this crystal. I feel that you're on the safe side if you use selenite, because nothing bad can happen if you use selenite. So that, I will say, is actually probably as also a crystal that I should have close by. Maybe we should just use all three crystals. Labradorite, selenite, and the last one, lapis lazuli. Lapis lazuli is very, very, very old, and this is connected with the ancient god and goddesses. It's very much connected to the Egypt culture. Yes, I have done a lot of channeling, a lot of guided meditations where I connected with Egyptian gods and goddesses. There is one story that I want to share with you guys where I slept with labradorite. No, not labradorite. Lapis lazuli. Wow. Where I put it on my forehead, and I got into this state of yeah, well, I guess you can call it a state of dreaming, where I got guided by this like Egyptian person, god. I can't remember if I ever got told a name or anything like that signified who this person, god, was. Because it could also just be a spirit from back then that was, meant to guide me. But, and it's actually, thinking about this, it's actually very funny, because it's linked together with something I'm wearing that I actually received many years after. But he guided me down these like tunnels and into this like cave kind of thing, like what you see in movies when it comes to Egypt, right? And he gave me this necklace that was made out of lapis lazuli. And he explained to me that I could turn it into whatever and it could help me. And, you know, I can't remember everything. Maybe I have made a memo about it because I tend to do that when I have crazy dreams. So I say that because I just realized that I'm actually wearing lapis lazuli as a bracelet that I got from my friend Alison. So I always wear this because not even, can I say that? Does it help you communicate with spirit, like very old, ancient spirits, but it also helps you wear off evil. It protects you against evil. So, yeah. I mean, I don't know why I would talk about crystals that attract evil spirit. I don't think there is any crystals, and I don't know why we would attract that. So I'm not going to talk about that. But obviously, you know, it depends on your mindset, what you want to attract, right? The last crystal that I actually want to talk about is a highly powerful. I have made a video about this, so we can, you know, dig deep into this. But this is a crystal that I can't remember the name of, but it's here. I will link it up here. Do not buy this if you are not mentally ready, if you are not spiritually ready, because it will make you sick. I have a friend who experienced that. She was not ready. She got sick, she vomited. So yeah, this connects you to other worlds. It's really beautiful. I actually haven't used it for a long time, but then again, I haven't really done any channeling for a long time either. I will get back to it. But this one, take a look at the video that I made because I go a little bit deeper into details with it. So you can feel, you know, it vibrates. Yeah. So, yeah. Is there anything else I want to... Well, actually, if we speak about ghosts, it's for me, I don't know why it's a strange word to use. I want to use spirits. Maybe it's because that I feel like my accent really comes through when I say ghosts. Ghosts. So let's just for the sake of it call it spirits. And I have talked about this a lot, that after my mom passed away was really when I learned to tap into the guidance of spirit. And I always have spirits here. There's always a lot of activity here. I will say the more that you are open to communicating with spirit, the more that they are willing to connect with you. It depends on your energy. If your energy is not balanced, if, you know, it's a person, because I don't think any of you guys are like an evil person. Spirit will, you know, not want to work with you because they are very selective, I heard, when it comes to people. So obviously if it is a person who is like evil and dirtbag, then you're probably more prone, that word came from, you're probably more, let me rephrase that, you would probably attract more evil life-sucking entities into your life. And we don't want that. It's fun being a ghost hunter, attracting the not so nice, because that you sometimes get evidence with it, with angry spirits. I tried that when me and Henriette went to a haunted house with a guy, older person, the owner, the past owner, really didn't want us there, and he answered back on a question if we should leave. And that was yeah. And I also feel when it comes to the evil spirits, they are very attracted to people who are most afraid. And one experience that I have with this is when me and Kiri's twin sister went to the Harrislesgård castle. There's episodes on my vlog channel about this. And Kiri was the one who was afraid and maybe not as prepared as I was. And we actually talked about that after that. She was not prepared at all for it. So the negative spirit, it was like a German satanic something dude who did evil stuff there back in the days. Poked her, pushed her, and obviously that evil spirit decided to do it with her because she was the more vulnerable person. So I didn't have those experiences because that I know that I'm very protected, and I went in there just to capture evidence, right? I was not focused on actually communicating with spirits, which if I would have done it now, there would probably have been more that I felt, because I went in there just being very protected, so obviously I didn't feel a lot. There was a lot of evidence on camera, but I didn't feel much, I will say. So again, when we want to communicate with spirit, well, how open do you want to be? Because if you're very closely connected with your spirit team, they will make sure that nothing happens to you. So if you say, protect me, I don't want to feel anything, I don't want to see anything, then they're going to make sure that you don't see anything. So it's actually pretty awesome to work with our spirit guides because they do their job well. Very well. Nothing is being slipped in, nothing is slipping out. Well, I could talk about this topic about spirits for a very long time. And again, when it comes to this topic, I have no guidelines. So I feel that this is what I want to speak about when it comes to it, because I know that we're going to talk a little bit more about it when we come into the chapter about channeling. Because I will, as far as I remember, I did write a little bit down about how to protect yourself. One thing that I didn't write down that I actually want to talk about here, especially for you, Patrick, you do work with that darker energy, and for everyone else who has been affected by the not so nice spirits. And I learned this from David Wells when I had my session with him. He actually taught me that if there is something, well, it doesn't actually need to be a nasty energy, but if there is an energy that's like, I want to communicate with you, I really want to communicate with you. And I had that back then, it's many years ago that I had the session with him, where I always woke up by someone who talked in my ear. But I didn't feel like it was the evil spirit, but it was just someone who always wanted to talk with me at night, which is effing creepy. So he taught me that I should, at night, when I went to bed, I should visualize this like pentagram. So the normal star, and then with the round around, because this is not an evil pentagram, okay? And set it on fire, because that is powerful enough to keep away anything negative or anything that just, you know, really want to talk with you. Yeah, and you can say a little prayer, which I'm also going to share when we come into the channeling. But when it comes to spirits, you do have to be very, determined. If you don't want them there, you have to tell them off. You cannot be like, well, if you want to go, you can go. Because then they're going to stay. You have to really be like, go. The more power you put into the words, the more pushy the words push them away. Does that make sense? But I think this is actually going to be the topic for ghosts, for spirits. So again, write down in the comments if you guys have anything else that I should talk about. Whatever topic. We are also going to talk about tarot today. We are going to talk about the Nine of Swords today, because that's a very scary card, but it's actually not so scary. I'm going to explain why. So if there's anything else that you want me to talk about, write in a comment. But let's go to the next chapter. Chapter 2. Oh my god. We're going to talk about relationships. And we are going to talk about the mirror effect and why certain people are in our life and why certain people piss us off. this has been something I wrote down because that it was a learning process for me. And looking back at what I wrote and then thinking about what happened the past 2 years, it's very mind-blowing. But basically, when it comes to relationships in our life, no matter if this is love, if it's friendships, if it's a child, if it's a co-worker, a boss, that person reflects something back at you that could be linked together with one of your parents, or it could be linked together with something that you don't like about yourself, something you have to learn. So yeah, relationships are mirrors of ourselves. It's sometimes a hard pill to swallow. And maybe this is actually the perfect time to talk about this, especially because we are in a new year. And the past years, I feel it would have been hard to talk about because that a lot of us, all of us, has been going through harsh realizations with relationships, right? If it was with a partner, an ex, or if it has been with a child, or with a friend, or a boss, or whatever. But now, I feel we all have learned a big lesson, so we can look back and laugh about this. We can look back and realize, oh my, I really came a long way when it came to this person or that person. And we can let it go. Maybe some of you guys are still dealing with this. Figuring out, why is this person triggering me? What is this linked together with? And I think we all have heard this, like, we tend to date our parents. We tend to date our mother or our father because there is something that we are learning, like breaking the lineage. And I remember I read about this in 2020. It was around the pandemic, I remember, and I just got so mad and so annoyed about it because I was like, this is not true. I'm not like my father. I'm not like my mother. I didn't attract this person because of that. Or I didn't attract this person because of something that I don't like about myself. But you know, looking back at some of the traits, yeah, that has been something that has been learned. So it will obviously be different things for different people. And obviously, you know, it would be so fun. All of you guys watching right now would have been sitting in a room with me because then we could have discussed this, right? But again, be free flowing. I wanna really put out the word flee. Be free flowing. Be free flowing when it comes to your comments. Like also maybe a section of like what chapter you are talking about, because I bet my head that a lot of you guys are dealing with the same things when it comes to the topics that we're going to talk about. So one thing that I really have paid attention to is this energy of what we don't like about people, especially when it comes to, you know, well, either family or co-workers or bosses or friends, mostly friends, because friends are one of the people who come into our life to really teach us lessons. And I feel that the past 3 years has really been those years, right? And I had a friend, and I always had this like love-hate relationship with her, friendship with her, where she just was the one person who pisses me off the most. And I never understood why. And there was so many mirror things going on that I knew that it was because that there was things that I didn't like about her that I didn't like about myself. And the best way to heal this is obviously to heal that relationship first. A lot of people think that, oh, I need to heal myself. That is the way. I need to forgive myself. And yes, we do need to forgive ourselves. But most importantly, we need to forgive the person who triggers us the most. And I also remember I had it with my mom. She also triggered the hell out of me many years ago, especially when I was a teenager, because he was very protective and I never understood why. In my older days, I understand why, because he just wanted to protect me, right? I was the only daughter. But if we don't heal it, it's something that we take with us, and then we are going to become the overprotective person. Because I remember I have also been that way with friends. Very overprotective. Why was that? Well, because my mom was that way. And because that I never fully understood why, I never healed it, it was something that I took with me. Like Moon, right? I was overprotective with Moon. You guys remember the GPS tracker that I bought her? I wanted to know where she was. And that was also the energy that my mom had back then. So it's so funny to sit here and think back and be like, wow, yeah. So this was just something that needed to be healed. I just need to have the awareness of like, maybe this is not a bad thing. Maybe it's just a trait that, that I hated back then, that I never understood back then. But now I understood it, and now I'm ready to let go of it. We learn to forgive and we learn to trust. And 2023 is apparently the year where a lot of us are going to find our true soulmate, or at least being prepared for it, right? Oh, yeah. So what better time than to realize these things than now? So do yourself a favor and dissect a relationship or a friendship, whoever you have in your life, where it's like, there's something I really hate about this person, but I don't really know why, but I hate this person. For some of you guys, there could be someone that you like this person, but there's also something that you really hate about them. So it could be the fact that it's someone who might have success, right? In something, someone who has the courage that you want to have, but instead of you mirroring, reflecting back like, ooh, I can have that too, you might get angry and annoyed at them. So you actually get angry and annoyed about yourself, because it's a reflection. Everyone in your life is a reflection. Everyone in your life is there to teach you something. If it's your brother, your sister, your son, your daughter, they're there to reflect something. Maybe even someone you follow on YouTube. Maybe I reflect something. I don't hope that I'm pissing you guys off, but maybe I do. I actually have had it. It's something I've paid attention to a lot in the past. That there's some people that followed me for a long time, but that now and then got very triggered about my accent, right? Like, why is that? And then I remember I spoke with a friend about it, where she actually made a good point. Maybe it's because that they get triggered that I have the courage to actually speak another language, or have the courage to embrace my differences with the way that I speak. Like, I embrace my flaws, right? That can be very triggering for someone who has problems with accepting something about themselves. So once again, now we are putting another perspective into why we could get triggered by someone. If I think about it, sometimes we also get triggered by people who try to date us, people who flirt with us. Why is that? Well, insecurities, right? And I have had that a lot. People who try to flirt with me, and then I'm just backing off, even getting well, not getting nasty, but just ignoring them, just being like, yes, okay. Why? Well, because that it mirrors back something in me that I know that I need to break out of. And a lot of you guys have the same, right? You could be triggered by a friend who is like, let's go out partying, let's go out, have a drink, and you could get so annoyed because that you know that it mirrors something back to you that tells you that you need to get out of your hole. You need to go out there and try again. And I actually saw Eat, Pray, Love yesterday. Let me tell you something. And this is perfect, because when the movie came out, I was like, I don't want to watch that shit. What is that actually? That's boring love shit. Like eat, pray, love. What does that even mean? Of course, it triggered something in me because that movie is about a woman who embraces her flaws, who goes to another country to find herself, falls in love, right? So of course I didn't like it, because that I didn't fall in love with myself. I didn't like myself. I was miserable because I was just sitting doing nothing. I was not going out traveling. So of course it mirrored back something negative. And the only reason why I was guided to watch Eat, Pray, Love, if you haven't watched it, you need to watch it. The phone just confirmed, yes. I watched it because that, remember the audio book that I talked about with Elizabeth Gilbert? I have actually talked a lot about her recently. She made or wrote the book, is it Big Magic? I think it's called Big Magic. And I'm listening to it. And she talks about that Eat, Pray, Love. And I was like, well, maybe it's time that I actually embrace this and I, watch it. And I know that I was not supposed to watch it before because I would have hated it back then. Because I didn't like myself. I didn't love myself. I didn't like my flaws. So it makes sense. I didn't know anything about meditation or whatever else this movie reflects in my life. And actually came to learn that the movie is based on her. And it gave me just so much courage. So now that we talk about relationships, it's not even relationships that reflects and mirrors things in your life. It's movies, it's commercials, it's your pet maybe even, it's where you live, it's where you travel, it's the clothes that you wear, it's the shoes that you wear, it's the haircut, it's whatever, right? Yeah. See, we can talk about this for hours and hours and hours, but I think it's time that we close off this chapter. But again, if you guys want to dig deeper, if you have questions, write them and we can go as deep as you want on this topic. But I think, looking at my notes, okay, one thing I actually do want, because I can see that the last thing that I wrote here is like, look at someone in your life who bothers you. Maybe you should actually do that today. And then, I'm gonna share this. It's so funny. You have to write down 3 things that you don't like about this person. I'm gonna read up what I talked about. She's never there for me. Supports me. I was so dramatic back then. She is pessimistic. That's the second thing. The last thing is do things she promised. So she never does things that she promised. And then the last one is, where am I like that? And it's going to hurt, because then you're like, okay, so the first one I wrote down is, she's never there for me, supports me. Where am I like that for myself? I didn't always support myself. If I had an idea, I was like, oh, that's not good enough. No, let someone else who's better than us do that for now. So it also comes down to that she's pessimistic. I was someone who was very pessimistic back then. So again, it mirrors, right? And the last one, do things as you promised. How many times have I promised myself something and never done it? Oh yeah, a lot. Probably still do that, right? So there you go. Relationship healed. I probably didn't really figure that out back when I wrote this, but now looking back at it, yeah. And it's a person that I don't talk that much with anymore. She's not really in my life anymore. And I'm fine with that. So I know that now I have like healed something that was very heavy. Very, very heavy. But this is just, it's very healing to do this thing. And it didn't come to me before that I do this now and read through the last 3 things that I didn't like about this person. Ooh, this is fun, people. This is like a Sunday activity that we're all going to do. So do this with everyone. Like fun, if you have more than one person, find 3 things about every person. And also what I want to mention with the Eat, Pray, Love, in the movie they talked a lot about this. Well, there is a scene where she has to forgive her ex-husband. The ex-husband also has to forgive her, but she wanted to have the divorce. He didn't. And she visualizes him at the wedding day dancing, where he says, I still love you. And then she says, then love me. And then he says, I miss you. And she says, then miss me. Just that's, I got so emotional when I saw it. I get emotional just talking about it now. But what was that? Oh yeah, I think the last thing she said was like, send love my way and let it go. Send love and drop it. And I think that is the most healing thing we can do to another person, because remember, it reflects back at you. It reflects back at you. If you miss someone, miss them. If you love someone, love them. Send love to them and drop it. Eat, pray, love. That is going to be the end of this chapter. Okay, so the next chapter, I'm like taking a new crystal for each chapter. I think I'm going to hold my citron. Okay, I can put this away because this was just like for the crystals, one little line. So in this chapter we're going to talk about the energy of honoring our ability, honoring our ideas, honoring ourselves, which can be very, very hard. And I feel that all these topics, it makes sense why Spirit was like pushing me to choose these topics, because that I feel it's very much something that we are tapping into at the moment, because we have been preparing for a long time now. And I say that while I look at the back of a tarot deck actually. It's very saying, look at that. Yeah, the key and the open gates. It makes sense. Because we do need to honor our ideas, our creativity. And by doing that, I obviously also want to integrate, is that how you say that, you guys into this. Because I want you guys to find just one thing, doesn't have to be more. Make it as easy, make it as simple. If I one day, not if, because I know that I will, one day I'm going to write a book about this like simplicity of doing things very, very simple for yourself. But find one thing that you really value, that you really love. And it can be as easy as the ability to feel, the ability to help and guide other people. Other people. I am at this moment honoring Mercury retrograde. I'm honoring my ability to pronounce things wrongly. Sometimes, by the way, it's so funny. And I don't want to blame Mercury retrograde, because I know I do this even if Mercury retrograde is not here. But I have the tendency to sometimes say something and then I use another word and I don't even pay attention to it. Like in the weekend reading, I was laughing so much. I didn't even pay attention to it when I was editing the video. But instead of saying shoots, I said readings, you know? Then you just know. And I do this like a mix up. On my vlog channel I talk about readings, and on my main channel I talk about photo shoots. And sometimes it's reversed, but it's so funny. So yeah, one simple thing that you really value about yourself or about what you do. It can also just be, you know, that you are very good at organizing things. Just make it simple. Yeah, make it very, very simple. With that, just valuing that talent of yours. Because not many people are good at, for example, organizing things, right? Not everyone is good at feeling. Not everyone knows how to help or guide other people. So you could actually be the one person who has that ability that could actually help other people. Another thing I want to say is that this talent doesn't have to be something that you have learned. Something you learned in school or something you learned for 3 years. It's something that comes natural for you. So it's not your master degree in psychology. It's your natural instincts when it comes to psychology. For some of you guys, it's just being a mother or being a father, right? Make it simple. And it's okay that it's simple. Whatever comes natural for you, that's your talent. Just realize that you are actually important because you are. I think it's something that we all struggle with at some point in our life. Like asking ourselves the question, am I actually important? Am I making a difference? Would people realize if I'm not here? Do people realize what I want to create? What I say? Am I being heard? Do I have value? Am I important? Yes. Yes. Yes and yes. It's also very important, and this is something that's like very mind-twisting, I feel. But it's important to realize that your talent isn't something you can learn. You can learn that anywhere. Your talent is you. And your talent is actually a thing that you can make money with. It's the money. It's the money tree. It's the money bucket for you. Wait, for some of you guys, me saying that, you're probably already digging deep, right? Being like, ooh, what is that? Well, what is that simple thing? That is you. That is your talent. That is your ability. What is that? Maybe you're just very good at giving people comfort. Maybe you're good at guiding people. Again, it can be it is very, very simple. The best thing you can do with this is actually just to allow yourself to be quiet, allow yourself and give yourself the time to just sit 5 or 10 minutes and really focus and think about, what is that natural talent of mine? Meditation is a scary word for some people. That's why I say give yourself the time to actually just sit 5 and 10 minutes to be quiet. Again, it's actually something that comes up in the Eat, Pray, Love, where one of the gurus is like telling her to smile with her liver. Like, are you smiling with your liver? We have to smile on the outside, on our inside. Our spirit has to smile and our liver has to smile. I just learned so much, and it actually makes sense why I was not supposed to record this yesterday, but I was supposed to record this today. But to come back to this interview of you just taking a time to just sit quietly. If you can sit quietly for 5 minutes, at least just give yourself 3 minutes. Because by you actually doing this, you give yourself the message that you yourself is very important, that your work is important, that your ideas and your creativity is important. And that is important. Because most of the time when we actually take the time, we value, the time that we spend alone with ourselves. Because by that you learn to value your ideas, your creativity. And for some people it can be frightening to, learn to be by yourself. I think all of us has been going through that at some point. Because then when you tap into this energy of being quiet, and maybe it's a good idea that you say to yourself, okay, I'm going to give myself 3 minutes to just sit and be quiet. And then when you get into that state of being quiet, you start being like, okay, what is it that I actually value? What is it that I actually love? Do you like to read about planets? Do you like to learn about tarot, crystals, spells? Do you like to teach? Do you like to teach other people about this? Really dig deep. What do you value? What do you like? What do you love? What brings you joy and peace? Like, do you love nature? Do you love to read about plants, herbs, flowers? Do you like to grow things? Do you like to plant things? Do you like to take walks? Because maybe you want to become a guide. Or maybe you want to guide other people about plants or flowers, right? And then maybe some of you guys are going to have the thought, well, I don't think anyone wants to learn about what I know, what I love. No one wants to learn about astronauts. No one wants to learn about flowers because it's boring. Let me tell you one thing. It's not boring. And there is people out there who loves plants, who, you know, there's people who take a whole education about how to plant flowers, how to grow trees, to decorate a garden, right? So maybe what you want to do and what you love and what you value is actually not that stupid. And you're probably very good at it, because if it's something you love, if it's something you value, you are good at it. And maybe some of you guys are being like, well, a lot of people do it. Yes, but you do it in another way, because that we, each one of us, do things another way. Like I'm doing tarot, right? How many tarot readers are there on YouTube? Many. And each one of us are doing it in a different way. Because we can't do it the same way. It's not possible, because each and one of us, we have another personality, we look different, we have another accent, we have another way of filming, there is other backgrounds, there is other content, right? Some people just do monthly readings, some people just do love readings. Again, continue, whatever. You know, a lot of people do ghost hunting. Well, you do ghost hunting in another way. So again, it's about digging deep and being like, well, what do I love about ghost hunting? Or what do I love about cooking, right? So what do I love? It's the big question today. So come back to this, like maybe you want to become someone who guides people through Yellowstone. Is that if thing? I think that's a series, right? Is it Yellow Park? No, well, nature, right? Maybe you want to guide people through Salem or whatever. Maybe you want to plant trees in a garden. Start small. And I promise you that you will actually start getting paid for this. And I want to tell a story because there was this lady who loved colors. She loved to surround herself with colors. She was always wearing colorful clothes. She always had ribbons in her hair, colorful makeup. Her home was decorated in different colors. She really loved it. She enjoyed it and she did it. And all of her friends started to ask her for help. Like, what should I wear to feel happy? Or what should I wear when I go to this conference meeting? Or how can I decorate my bedroom to bring in more love? You know, all these things. And she always helped her friends because, you know, she loved it. She loved whatever we love, we tend to actually share with other people. And she realized that she actually ended up spending a lot of her time on helping her friends, helping them. When it came to colors, when it came to clothing, when it came to decorations. So she ended up actually having this idea that she could maybe make money this way, that maybe she could start accepting money, a little hourly fee from her friends when it came to really guiding them. And also this shifts the dynamic, because when you get paid for it, you tend to put more energy into it. And I know that from my photo shoots, when I have customers who come to me without paying, because we have this like, okay, if I take these pictures of you, I can use the pictures and, you know, like I want. And sometimes I'm also a little bit too kind, because then I end up doing it the next time and the next time. But I always find myself just not putting the effort into it if I don't get paid, because that I don't get paid. Again, it's a value of your time. It's a talent that you have. And this is also for you guys, that if you have a talent, it's okay to, you know, now and then get help. Do something for free if there is something you get in return. If there's something you get in return. If there's something you get in return. But if you keep doing it because that you just want to be kind, you end up hating it. The joy gets out of it. So this energy of getting paid is very important in this. That's why you have ideas. That's why you have your abilities. I think it's very important that we actually, also with that story, because her starting in the small ways, she actually honored herself. She honored her creativity, her ideas, her talents. And by doing that, she realized that her time spent on helping other people was very valuable and her knowledge was very useful. So yeah, she did feel fearful at first jumping into this. And I think that's something we all, I mean, I know that for myself, when I started asking for money for photo shoots, my God, that was the worst feeling, because I was like, I didn't honor myself, right? I didn't honor my talent. I didn't honor my, whatever. Also with readings. And I know a lot of you guys who are ghost hunters, yes. You guys who are tarot readers, it's hard to ask for money because, oh my God, is it, can I take money for this? Yes, you can, and you should, because you use your knowledge, you use your time, most of all your energy. And also for people who are ghost hunters, you also spend a lot of money and energy on doing the things that you do, which, again, accepting spirits to come into your energy. It takes and drains a lot, and especially if it's evil entities. So you should take money for it. The same if you're someone who's like decorating a garden or whatever, take money for it, because your time and your ability is worth it. So yeah, she jumped into it. She did it. And even if her friends were very surprised about the change, they, like we spoke about before, started realizing that she actually gave them more attention and more time when she got paid. And it makes sense, right? Like I just shared, I do, and I felt guilty from actually giving people more attention and feeling more joyful when I get paid. But that is how it is. It is how it is. So to end that story, obviously the more she got paid, the more clients she got, the more knowledge she digged for us, she learned new things, and by that she could ask for more and more and more and more money. And I can't believe how it was, but I think it's something about that she actually ended up being on a TV show or being a part of a magazine or something like that. So realize how far your creativity and ideas can actually bring you, and do not be afraid of it. Because this happened because she honored her talent. She honored her time, her creativity, her ideas. She was eventually able to make this her full-time work. And that is the end of this chapter. We are going strong today, people. Let me know how you feel. Like, do you have a better idea now about what you could do, about your time you actually put into it, and about how other people could be affected in a positive way? Alright, we are back. I just made I took a little break so I could make my smoothie. Wow, okay. Candle on. What are we going to talk about? Well, we're going to talk about the Nine of Swords. I actually wanted to take all the Nine of Swords cards that I have with different tarots, or at least some of them. Okay. I took a time to take 9 of Swords out of 6 tarot decks that I'm going to share with you guys. Obviously, we all know how anxious the 9 of Swords is, especially if you are a tarot reader or if you have just watched a lot of tarot readings. Swords are just in general a little bit scary. And if we dig into it, why is that? Well, because that it's swords, right? It's like, ooh. But if you twist it, swords are connected with the mind, and a lot of the times swords are connected with past events. because hurt comes from the past. If it's in our present, in our reality, in the here and now, it's because we invite it in, right? One thing that was very hard for me to learn, I don't know if I mentioned it, but swords is a symbol of what is in our mind. And sometimes that can be illusions, it can be something we are just hanging on to. This is the original Nine of Swords. I love you guys know this. You know this. You have seen this a lot. A guy who looks anxious, fearful. Did he have a nightmare? Why is it that this guy couldn't fall asleep again? Why is he up at night? Why did he choose to decorate his wall with swords when there is flowers on his bedsheet? How many of you guys have actually paid attention to that ever? That there is actually flowers on his bedsheet. And a yellow pillow, because we put our head on the pillow, right? Yellow is a very happy, very, very, very happy color. And I actually feel that each and one of these cards symbolize something that symbolizes hope. For instance, the cage on this is open. There's always something that's guiding us, like a bird or something. The cage is also yellow. The sky is, well, it's a little bit cloudy, but the clouds move. Here, there is a vulnerability over her because he's naked. Her hair is long, so she might have suffered for a very long time, right? But the scenery is beautiful. There's like green, there's like a river. So you could cleanse the fear away with the water, because water is a symbolism of flow. This one, the pillow is white, but she's wearing a red dress, which is a sign of power, strength. And again, the birds are helping her, right? And it's clearing up in the background. There's green, the white pillow, purity, cleansing. In this one, she's also once again wearing a red dress, which for me symbolizes that, yeah, you are in a scary forest, but you're actually, you know, overcoming the fear of being in the scary forest. And here, the older lady, well, there's different things, because one thing is that the bedsheet is purple, which is connected with the spirituality, but also she's wearing a white nightgown dress, whatever you call it, and there's light coming from the window. So as fearful as the Nine of Swords is, there's always hope with it as well. But it can be hard to actually see in the midst of all the swords and in the midst of all the anxiety. So you guys might be, why did you choose the Nine of Swords? Well, because Spirit guided me to it. And I feel that the Nine of Swords depicts what we have been going through the past 3 years. There is a wake-up call in the Nine of Swords. There is a wake-up call in all these cards. There's freedom in all these cards. And there is a choice to be made in all these cards, right? Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I can show them all like at once. Maybe I can. But there you go. It is a scary card. It is. And I have seen a lot of clients when they get it, it's like, I mean, it's the reaction that I have when I get it. And it's a reaction that other people have, like they associate it with fear, right? 9 is also a number of almost being, you know, like it's done. You're almost there. Little longer, one more step, you're out of it, right? Because 10 is fulfillment. Then you can start the next chapter. And when I tapped into like what tarot card I should use, and Spirit showed me the Nine of Swords, I was also asking the question, why? And the sentence that I heard was understanding the scary card. Which I feel is very cute to call it the scary card, that even Spirit calls it the scary card. Yeah. But, you know, it's also, if I think about it, also with whatever else we are going through right now, it is scary for us to jump into a new chapter. It's scary if we don't know, you know, what's behind the next door. That is scary, but it pushes us forward, right? And at first I was like, huh? Like, why? Why do I need to understand the scary card? And then it hit me. Panic attacks. Literally, what we are all dealing with right now, no matter who you are, there is a panic attack happening, right? Because that we make decisions right now. We are jumping into new chapters because it's the new year, it's January, it's 2023, which is very different from other years. And also, I feel like January has a tendency to throw us curveballs. To be like, let me just test you a little bit. Have you learned your lessons? Are you ready for this year? So this is the panic attack card. And I understand why Spirit wanted us to learn about it today. So I dig deep. I found all the weird things that I could about this card because I really wanted to learn something new about it. All the skeletons are coming out of the closet. All the swords are being taken off the wall. So that we, in the future, when we get the 9 of Swords, we understand why. And I'm good at digging for things. Because the Scorpio in me likes it. The Scorpio Moon. And the Scorpio Mercury, the Scorpio Venus is like, oh yes, let me just find out a little bit more. It's not just finding out a little bit more, it's finding out something that is hidden. That is the Scorpio in me. Loves to find out something that's hidden. So, I'm telling you, after this chapter we will understand. We will know the truth about the 9 of Swords. Because, yeah, it's not going to haunt us anymore. So first of all, with the 9 of Swords, it is Mars in Gemini. So it rules our drive and it rules our passion. Which, it doesn't sound bad, right? Coming from a 9 of Swords. So a black raven out there, which is so interesting because that is what's a part of the 9 of Swords in at least 2 of the cards. But with that, Gemini can actually make it very uncomfortable. It can make it a very scattered energy. It can make it a very confusing energy. We get easily bored with that energy. So if you have Mars in Gemini, you might associate even more with the 9 of Swords. You might understand something about yourself with us digging deeper into this. But it also navigates us into a fresh new start. So once again, if you have Mars in Gemini, you are always being guided into a fresh new start, especially with things that seem uncomfortable in your life. It comes with a message of a change of peace, a change of drive, a change of perspective. It asks us to just keep the energy leveled, the energy up. So now, how do we actually feel about the 9 of Swords? I would love to know that in the comments. Because we all probably will agree that we actually feel better about the 9 of Swords. Am I right? Also, the angel number 999, and just 9 in general, is not bad at all. The only thing that's actually scary is the swords. Yeah. And also, why is it that he chooses to decorate them on his wall? put them on display like this, because this is like putting something on display. Choosing to do that in your bedroom is even more better idea, can I say it like that? And I actually have a story with the Nine of Swords, because this is also how it can come out sometimes when it comes to readings. So I have a friend that called me like panicked, being angry and annoyed, because that in her readings the Nine of Cups decided to come up 4 times. Every time she asked a question, no matter how she twisted and turned the question, the Nine of Swords decided to come up. And it's interesting because the Nine of Swords is actually a card that also has come up for some of you guys in the yearly, maybe also in the monthlies. So maybe if you go back and listen to the message, you will understand the Nine of Swords a little bit better now. But she was very like, no matter what I do, like I shuffle and I cut and I shuffle and I cut, and it, you know, every time the Nine of Swords just keeps popping up in the reading, and I don't understand why. So I asked her, well, you know, what is the question about? Like, is there something you need to pay attention to? Is it something you have overlooked? And she explained to me, well, it's about this person. And she was also with that, being like, I know I should leave it behind. I know that it's not good, but I just want to know. I want to know. You know, I ask and I want to know, and it's still just the Nine of Swords keep coming up. So she knows, like, she felt insane, right? That is the Nine. That is the Nine of Swords. She felt insane. She felt crazy. She felt scattered. She felt confused. It felt uncomfortable. That is how she felt about this person. This is how she felt about the reading. That's how she felt about the card. And it was about a person who was married to another person, first of all. It was a person who, you know, I guess you can say was trapped in something else, and also felt scattered about that. So the energy mirrors, and we just talked about the mirror energy, didn't we? She knew that it was a no-go. She knew that this person would never let go of the other person. And the Nine of Swords only confirmed it for her. It confirmed what she felt. And that is what the Nine of Swords does a lot of the times. It confirms what we feel. So next time you get the Nine of Swords, just pay attention. Does it confirm what you already know is true? Does it confirm what you feel, actually? Is it that easy? Because most of the time it is actually that easy. And right now I feel like it's a little cold in here. If any of you guys have some crazy stories about the Nine of Swords, I think all of us has a Nine of Swords story. Let me know. So ending this on a truth of the Nine of Swords suggests that our mind is out of control. That we create our own nightmares, our own fears, anxieties most of the time. Because we keep to have the fears, right? We keep to decorate the fears and the worries on our wall. They come back, they haunt us. They stay for a very long time when we welcome them in, like a vampire. It's the Vampire card. It is a wake-up call, most of all, from the universe. If you get the card, hear the universe saying to you, pay attention. Pay attention. Pay attention to your thoughts, most of all, because thoughts are connected with thoughts. Change your mind. Change your focus. Is this a confirmation? Is the answer a confirmation? Is the Nine of Swords a confirmation? So I think that the conclusion is that it's actually not that scary. And it's actually very simple and easy. Yeah. I will say I learned, by digging all the dirt out of the Nine of Swords, I learned so much about myself. Because I have been fearful. And me being an air sign, I straight away jumped to conclusions that it's a bad card. For me, it was the anxiety card, nothing else. I myself learned something about the Nine of Swords that I didn't know I could learn. So, what is the next card that we should dig into? Maybe a card that you don't understand. We all have tarot cards that we do not understand, no matter how many times we learn about it. And for me, the Nine of Swords is one of them. The Hanged Man is another of them. Even the Ten of Swords, even the Six of Swords. Oh, the Four of Pentacles. It's like you understand the cards, but sometimes it's also just like, well, what are you? Like, why are you here? Why do you keep coming up? And most of all, it's because that they are linked together with something we already know. Because the Four of Pentacles is linked together with, you know, control, right? So, yeah, let me know. What is the next card? So now we're going to talk about channeling. What you guys have been waiting for, right? Maybe I should take the... Is the accessorite? I can't remember what it's called. I'm like, hello. But first of all, now I need coffee. Alright, I have my coffee. I put some heat on because it's really started to get cold. Maybe it's because I'm going to talk about spirits. Oh, yes. Okay, so I'm skimming through what we're going to talk about. I think this is actually the last chapter for this time. And when it comes to channeling, there's different pathways we can go. So I'm just focusing on what we're going to focus on today. So if there's something else that you guys want to talk about when it comes to channeling, write it in the comment. But basically, channeling is basically just being aware and having a feeling of well-being. It's that easy, that simple. That's the first thing you have to understand about channeling. And it's interesting because we spoke about this when we spoke about how we honor our creativity, right? Our talents, because that is by being quiet, by tapping into our feelings, which channeling is connected to. And it's interesting also now that we talked about the Nine of Swords, because when we are scattered, it's harder to channel. It's harder to connect with spirit. So I do understand why spirit wanted us to talk about these specific things. And us speaking about it today also means that you are actually activating something very special in your life. You're overcoming something with the Nine of Swords and you're ready to jump out there. 222, by the way. There you go. Signs. That's how spirit loves to play with us. And just to come back to what we spoke about in the beginning, because obviously my brain tends to fuss out things when I don't write them up. And I didn't write this up because I was like, oh, I'm going to remember that, but I didn't. When my mom passed away, I knew that she would be a big part of channeling, my way of learning how to communicate through spirit, with spirit, from spirit. Yes. And channeling happens in different ways, and spirit communicates in different ways. For instance, my mom loves to communicate with me through dreams. And recently, I had a dream, and it was right before I woke up, where I felt that my mom was in the room. And I saw this like the horn that a clown has. I don't know what you call that. But it's like the thing that you pushed out was like black, and then there is the horn kind of thing. I heard that like 2 times. And in my dream, I remember I turned like to the side and I saw it laying on the cart, and I knew that it was obviously a sign of spirit, right? And then I heard it again and I woke up. And that is how spirit communicates with us a lot of the times, through dreams, especially dreams. I mean, I guess it's different from person to person how spirit decides to communicate with you. But it was time for me to wake up. And after, I realized that it is because there is this call to action when you dream about a horn. There was also something else, I can't remember it, but that is one way. It happens a lot. Another thing that happened with that channeling, when I was cleaning the studio, I have this like metal box. I actually will take it. So I haven't touched this box since my mom passed away, when we emptied her apartment. And this is the box. For some of you guys, you might not know, but my mom was into like channeling and tarot and all that. So this is the box. I found it and I looked at it, and I actually remember, I actually forgot what was in it. First of all, there is this picture of this is me, tiny me. I don't know what I'm doing. My mom, my dad. That is just there. I don't know why, but it's there. And then I saw this and I was immediately, I just cried. I knew it was there, but I forgot it was there. This is the only tarot deck from my mom that I decided to keep. Because it is in Danish, I didn't want to keep the other ones. So my niece actually got them. But I knew that when I found this, my mom had something to say. That was a little bit louder than communicating through dreams, which is interesting because it was the same day that I had the dream when I woke up. So already there, candle just flickered. The channeling started, the connection started, right? So the first card, and what you guys know, the one thing that I am trying to manifest is a home of my own. I really want to take that step. But it's also something I have been afraid of. Like, is it the right time? Especially after my mom passed away, I took on this role of being the protector of the family. Like, I needed to be there for my father. I needed to be there for my nieces. I needed to stay in Denmark because that, you know, I couldn't go away because what if something happened? So the first card that popped up was this card, and I'm going to translate it for you guys. But it's basically called home. Your home situation is changing for the better, either because that you're going to move or because of a healthy shift when it comes to where you are living together with people. So that was the first card, and I was like, okay, is there anything else? I mean, I was crying so much. So the next card I got was this. You just can't make it up. Jump into it. I was like, is there anything else I should know, Mama? Jump into it. Take a chance and... Okay, how can I translate that? Like, make your innermost heart's desire to your reality. And one thing I have said to you guys before, again, this is a part of how you channel, is when my mom passed away, I was here. And while the doctors was trying to, I don't know what the right terminology is for that, but bring her back to life, I saw her jumping around on, you know, outside the windows, doing like, and like, you know, jumping around and being happy. And I was like, what the hell is happening? And I didn't believe it at first, right? And then the sentence that kept coming to me was, go out there and have fun. Live your life. Don't stay put. Live your life. Go out there. So she knew, right? So this card is just... And then the next one, and I also feel that me showing this is actually also a sign for a lot of you guys, because with everything else, the next card is this one. So be strong. You are stronger than you think you are, and your strength will make sure that there is a lot of lucky results in your life. And this one, I mean, this is just, you know, I feel this was really her showing that even though that she's not here anymore, she's always here. But this is the card of, and I also feel this is a message for you from your loved ones. It is the undyingly love. The love that you shared will always be, no matter the distance between both of you. I mean, again, you can make it up, right? The last card that I got, and I remember I asked a specific question, if there's something coming into my life this year. Like, I think I asked her, like, what am I manifesting? And the card that came up was true love. Your heart is aspiring spiraling with romantic feelings, and it's like a call from the universe, and the universe is delivering, you know, the big love. So I wanted to share that with you guys. And I also think I'm actually ready to put the cards back because I have kept them in the window. That's another way of channeling. I always do that. When I have received a card, I either sleep with it under my pillow to get even a deeper vision or message, or I put them in the window. But there you go. That was a little story. So now I put it back, and I know that she's going to reach out when I need to hear something from her again. So let's put it here, close to the Buddha, which is also from her apartment. So now we can dig a little bit deeper on what it is that I wanted to talk with you guys. But I just wanted to share that because it is how you channel. You sometimes channel spirit through without that you know it, without that you realize it. So always pay attention to your dreams. Pay attention to the signs, the numbers, the feelings that you get. Because if you're someone who wants to communicate with spirit, they're going to let you know when time is right. And the best way to actually learn to channel is to experience with it, or experiment with it. Ask questions, dig deeper. And it's also important to know that, you know, trial and error is very, very, very normal. You cannot do anything wrong. We all do mistakes, and we all will do mistakes because that is actually how we learn. That's how we become better. That's how we grow. So I really want you guys to not be, I don't know what the word was that I'm looking for, but timid, is that the word? Don't be timid by the trials and errors and the failures and the times where you don't get anything through. And that is also what we're going to talk about, because there is a lot of things that impacts us when we do channel. There's a lot of things that we need to think about. There's a lot of things that's very important. The more that you do experiment, the more that you do learn and just keep going, the better the connection with spirit becomes. The more the connection with your spirit guides becomes stronger. And one thing I want to say, because that's a thing that I remember from one of my friends. In the beginning, when you start working with your spirit guides, they will be very present. They will work with you very hard. They will show up in dreams and visions, and you will see them as the animal totem or whatever else you have. The stronger the connection gets, the less you will see of them. Because they're like, okay, you got this girl. You got this boy. You know we are here. You don't necessarily need to feel us all the time. And so the thing that... Moon? What's that, Moon? What was that? What was that? I wonder if I got that because he's sleeping, so it's not her. Well, maybe she said something in her dream. That's very interesting, right? Anyway. I felt like I heard a brrr. Well, we are channeling now. We are talking about it. Anyway, sorry if the camera is out of focus, but I'm using the big camera, and sometimes... Anyway... People sometimes give up when they don't see their spirit guides popping up all the time. And then the connection just dies out because they don't tap into it again. So do not be afraid if you don't see them all the time. Because in the beginning, they will work very close to you and they will work a lot with you. They will show themselves a lot in your dreams and visions. But then it's this feeling of like, okay, now you got it. You don't, like it's... When we learned to ride a bike as kids, right? We have the two wheels. No, I decided to do it like this. The better we get, we don't need them anymore, right? They're being taken off the bicycle, and then we are bicycling. And we never forget. Once you learn to bicycle, you never forget. It's the same with channeling and connecting with your spirit guides. So the wheels does need to come off. So you will not feel, you will wobble. You will you will not feel that there's like a support this way or support that way. It's like, whoa. So yeah, trials and errors are very, very normal. And the thing is that as much as you have to learn to tap into spirit, spirit also has to learn to tap into your energy. Did that make sense? And you obviously, throughout your life, throughout your time, especially like depending on what state you are in, like are you a beginner, are you like very advanced, are you in the middle where you're still a little bit unsure, you're working with different spirits, you're working with different spirit guides. Also spirit guides come and they go, some of them never come back. Like I can't remember her name now. Wow, I talked about her all the time and now I can't remember her name. The spirit guide. Ashika? No, not Ashika. Wow. If you have been with me for a long time, you might remember. For some reason, I can't remember her name. But it was a spirit guide that she had a past life in India. And I remember she talked about her 3 brothers. And she helped me for a year, maybe 2 years. Where she worked with me closely, and one day she came to me in a vision and told me that she had to leave. She had, another mission. And I was like, oh my God, you're taking my wheels away. But whatever I learned from her, it stayed with me. So some time after, there was a new spirit guide that presented itself, like a male. And it took me a while to tap into the energy of this new spirit guide, and I'm still working on it. And obviously that spirit guide also needs to learn to tap into my energy, right? And the more that I resist, the more that I am in my mind, the 9 of Swords, the harder it is for spirit in general, your spirit guides to tap into your energy, because if you're because of your scatterbrain, it must for them feel like walking into a room where you are the kid throwing all the papers up in the air, right? It's like, oh shit, like calm down, human. And I can't hear you over all the yelling and whatever else is happening. So yeah, as much as you learn to tap into spirit, spirit is also learning to tap into your energy. The more quiet and calm you can be, the easier and faster it will happen. Also, channeling should not be stressed. Do not do this on a day where you feel sick, on a day where you are on a rush. Can I say that? I don't know why that sounds wrong. This is also why it's very important that you do not compare yourself with other people. How other people channel, how other people communicate with spirit, because it will not be the same. No, your journey is not the same as everyone else's journey. Your journey is not the same as my journey. My journey is not the same as your journey. So we cannot compare notes when it comes to experiences, and that's why we have to experiment with this. And it's the same with ghost hunting, right? People who make videos about going to places that are haunted or communicating with spirit, trying to get answers. It's a form of channeling. And I think that is why some people has a harder time getting evidence, because they focus a lot on the evidence and not on tapping into the energy of the room or the energy of what could be there, and just, be open and be quiet. So yeah, channeling is you communicating with spirit. It's you channeling in spirit. You channel in the environment, you channel in the room, the house, the person, the item, if that is how you channel. Sometimes you can, you know, take an item and you can channel the energy through. If it's something that was owned by another person, or if it's your own card. There's sympathetic magic, right? Like, we all know what the Nine of Swords stands for now. So the energy that we will channel through from the Nine of Swords will be energies that links up with that. The more comfortable and at ease you feel when you channel, and the more comfortable and at ease you feel when you work with your spirit guides, communicate with your spirit guides, the more success you will obviously have with receiving clear messages, signs, evidence, right? Physical evidence, mental evidence, the feeling of feeling cold or hot, or the feeling of something vibrating on your body. That sounds so wrong. Oh, I was saying that and I felt something on my back. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Spirit. So you do need to feel comfortable. It's very important to feel comfortable. So if you are out ghost hunting, gathering evidence, the more safe you feel, the more comfortable and at ease you feel, the more answers and evidence you will get. So always take your time, no matter what you do. If it's just you sitting in your living room trying to connect with your grandmother or whoever passed away, or if you're just reading, channeling with your tarot cards, asking the universe or your spirit guides, feel safe, comfortable, and at ease, and take your time. It takes time. It does take time. Because like I said, there is a connection that needs to happen, especially if you do this for the first time. Obviously, the more comfortable you get with it, also the more that you trust yourself, that's also a big impact here. The easier and the faster it will come to you. If you are in the process of channeling or in the process of communicating with spirit, and you feel like you're not getting anything, or if you have a feeling of feeling uneasy, maybe you feel anxious suddenly, or you feel uncomfortable, it's important to have a checklist. And I'm going to share my checklist. I'm going to share this checklist that you that you can go through just to see what is this, what is happening. Obviously, it also depends on how much in tune you are, as how much of an empath you are. If you are empath like I am, you feel everything. You feel other people's emotions. You feel the emotion from the house, the emotion from a movie. It doesn't matter if it's physically with you or not. You feel it, and you have a reaction, a similar reaction to what it is you see and feel. The same if, for example, you're someone who is investigating, yeah, well, I guess you can call it investigating, a house where a murder took place. You might suddenly feel the same feeling that the victim went through, and it can be as physical of a pain as stabbing or gunshot. You will feel it. You will know what that feeling is. And I have had that feeling. Like, it's hard to explain because it's not like I feel like, you know, like a knife going through me, but I know the feeling of how it would feel. Does that make sense? It's a very hard way to explain it. It's not a physical pain that you feel, but you know how it feels. So that can throw you off. So when you go through this checklist, the first thing is to be like, okay, how do I feel? How does this room feel? And then you can go further and you can be like, okay, so is this feeling that is overcoming me, the feeling that I feel, is it me? Or is there potentially a lost soul that's trying to connect with me? So you have to visualize, like, if spirit, especially spirit, if it has been a soul-bound spirit, someone who has lived a life, especially if it's someone where the life got cut short in a brutal way or just an unexpected way, the way that they connect to your energy is that they attach themselves to you. They attach their energy to you. So the way that I see it and feel it is that they kind of like, they have threads of lights that comes from them, and they attach themselves to you. And it can be, you know, it can be why you feel a tingling and why you feel cold or hot or something. You shouldn't feel pain, because then it's definitely not a positive spirit. Then you should cut it off, and I'm going to come to that when we go through our list. But yeah, you can feel uneasy or anxious if a lost soul connects to you, because obviously Nine of Swords, sympathetic magic, they, depending on what they have been going through, they don't know anything different. Different. Like sometimes if you try to communicate with one who's ignoring you, what do? You yell at them, right? You try to get their attention. And obviously that is one way that a lost soul can try to connect with you. So they attached their energy to your energy, and you can feel it in different ways. So yeah, go through, be like, okay, is it me or is it a lost soul who's trying to connect with me? Something that just came through that I need to say with that is that sometimes when you are, like, if you do ghost hunting or investigating, it's important to let that spirit show you what they need to show you. And sometimes it's uncomfortable, because it's the only way for them to communicate with you is through sharing their experiences. The more that you experiment with this, the easier it gets. And a lot of the times what I have experienced is that there's a lot of fear involved. Obviously, if someone passes away, there is, you know, fear in the moment, right? Until that our spitty oh my god. Our spirit takes over, and then there's just nothing. Like our body doesn't remember it, our spirit doesn't remember it, but our body always, obviously, if we keep being attached to our body, we remember the sensations to it. But if there is a lost aspect of that, the body will somehow still be affected by it, and then you will feel certain things. Okay, was that all I needed to say? Yes. So yeah, just allow spirit to come through. Allow them to show what they want to show you, and feel what they want you to feel, because it might be a part of the experience and the growth. So yeah, spirit, a lost soul, they will, depending on their energy, depending on their pathway, they will come with a feeling of being sad or lonely. So it's don't be surprised if you suddenly just feel overwhelmed by sadness or something that's just like normally not you. Or angry. Yeah, sad or angry. Angry, that's a scary thing. But it's not, you know, it doesn't mean, if you feel angry, it doesn't mean that it's like an evil spirit. But obviously, different spirits, different pathways. So a checklist is very handy when it comes to those energies, because you have to really feel through, like, what is this? Is it me? Is it someone else? Also, like, is it someone else in the room? Is there something distracting you? Is there other people in the room? Is there a car outside? Is there running water that annoys you? Some kind of noise. What environment are you in? Always tap in and see, okay, what could be distracting me? Why is it that I feel confused? Why is it that I don't get anything through? Because sometimes, and a lot of you guys have probably experienced that, if you try to manifest, yeah, if you try to meditate in your room, there might be noises from another room. Maybe you have kids running around. Maybe there is a child or a husband or wife knocking at the door. Maybe there is traffic outside, right? That is something that distracts us. So we tap in and out of our channeling, of our feeling peaceful, because then the stress comes up, right? Because then we are like, okay, I need to go fast because my daughter wants to have food, my son needs food, or whatever. You feel like you're needed somewhere else, or you feel like you're running out of time. And you should not mix this in with channeling, because it does not go hand in hand. Because if you keep tapping out spirits, you're just going to be like, okay, let's try this another day. I'm out of here. And then they disappear. So also what I want to say, pay attention to who else is in the room. Because if you have someone else in the room who just sees it as a joke, and I have experienced this as well, just sees it as a joke, so someone who keeps laughing or keeps talking or walking around, that needs to be quiet. Like, stand still. No one makes a sound. And a lot of you guys have probably seen that in ghost hunting shows. There's even some people who totally isolate themselves, and they sit with a mask and they don't hear anything, and then they just do automatic writing or whatever it is to get something through. Obviously you can do that, but you don't necessarily need it. It's just a matter of practicing to build in the environment. Like, if you are channeling and you are meditating and you hear a car, try to accept. Again, I accept there is a car outside, and I make it a part of my, like, if you have those like balls, what do you call that, or the tick from when you play the piano, the duk, 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 duk. I can't remember what you call it, but you interact. That sounds very wrong. Like, you try to make it a part of what's happening with the piece, and then the more that you just accept it and you blend it in with your channeling, with your piece, it's fading away. It doesn't annoy you anymore. So that's one thing you can do if it's the environment that confuses you. But again, if there's other people making jokes, walking around, tell them to leave the house, because their energy of whatever they have done needs to be far away from you. So they shouldn't be in another room. They should be out of the house. A lot of you guys are going to throw your husbands and wives out of the house in the future, because, like, I don't need you. I can't have you and the kids in the house anymore. Sandra told me. Also, with other people, if another person in the room feels anxious and you are empathic, you will feel that. So you will know, like, zone in on it. What is this about? Who is this? Where could your spirit guide? Your spirit guide will, like, my spirit guide has a tendency to take me to a forest, like in my vision, my inner eye, whatever you call that, my words today. I meet up with my spirit guide in a forest, and they will pinpoint what's wrong, or they will pinpoint what I need to pay attention to. So, for example, if it's you and you're doing channeling and there is someone else in the room who feels fearful or sick, maybe even because they are getting affected, your spirit guide will show who it is that affects you in a vision. Yeah. So again, some people are very confused when I talk about, like, you can multitask when you are channeling, because you can be present in the room, you can be present with your peaceful state, but you can also visit the 5D with your spirit guide and see things. Because maybe spirit would actually come through that way. That is how I work most of the time. That's how I do my healing, right? I meet you, the client, somewhere, wherever your spirit guide feels we need to meet up, and then I talk with you and heal through that. So again, don't compare my experiences with your experiences. Don't be like, well, that's not how I do it, so maybe I do it wrong. Because no, whatever you do is how you do it. It's all about just trusting and feeling. So with the checklist, another thing you can do if there is something that distracts you is to put yourself into this bubble. You can obviously do this from the beginning, but it's not always that you think about this when you are channeling, because sometimes it can happen very randomly. But just know that while you channel, you can actually put this, well, I always see it as a blue bubble around me, and nothing from the outside can interfere, no matter if it's people, cars, the wind, whatever. So the next thing when it comes to the checklist is obviously, like, are you comfortable where you are? Like, are you sitting comfortably? Are you laying comfortably? Is there something that's, like, annoying you your back or your feet? Is your feet maybe cramping up, right? Are you cold? Are you too hot? Is there any doubt or fear in my body? Because you don't need that either. Also check up, like, are you hungry or are you thirsty? Because if you feel thirsty, that's something I experience. I can sometimes when I channel feel very thirsty. So I always have water, and it's okay to break the channeling. If you need something to eat or drink, if you need to pee, obviously take the break. But if you come back, just put yourself in this bubble again. The more that you experiment with this, the easier it is to get in and out of the channeling. Talking about being thirsty. So the last on our checklist, to-do list, is obviously this feeling of like if you are feeling good. Is there for some reason a negative energy entity that's trying to connect with you or tap into your energy? Because that could also be why you feel off, right? It doesn't have to be because you feel hungry or because there is a car outside or because there is an annoying person in your environment. It can also be because that there is a negative entity, and it's not to be scared of it, because you always have to remember that you are the person in the physical body. So you are way more powerful. Plus you have your spirit team with you, always. No matter if you ask them to be there or not, they will be there, believe me. Because it is their duty to be with you. They are not going to interfere, only if you ask, but they will always be in the background. So also, if you do the channeling, if you feel like if it's a negative entity or if it's a negative soul, because there is a big difference between a demon, I don't know, putting the positive into it by being like this, a demon, a bad entity, or just a grumpy ass old spirit. I feel like I need to be quiet because I don't want to piss off any grumpy spirits in the neighborhood. But you know, they come with different energies. Let's just say it like that, because they can also interfere with you. You know, if they want to be heard and you're not concentrating about them, then, you know, because some spirit, you know, it's interesting because there's different spirits, different energies. Some of them are just there to bring trouble. They are just there to give you wrong answers, or to confuse you, or to make you sad or annoyed. So you will feel if it's not a truthful grandmother that tries to come into your life, into your energy. One thing that, you know, it's so weird to say, I taught my spirit guides to, if I am dealing with, it's wrong to say playful spirit, lying spirit, then they show me a wall. Then I know that it's one of those, that just want to, you know, make trouble. Because then I can tap out of this energy. Then I'm just whooshing this spirit away and I'm letting the right spirit step forward. Another thing, sometimes when you are, like ghost hunters, for example, if you are out somewhere trying to tap into the energy, if there is a lot of spirits, sometimes there is this energy of almost some lost souls tries to be the boss over the other spirits. So if some of the other more, not that they are scared, but obviously, you know, they can be scared sometimes, you know. Then there is one spirit who is like not allowing them to come through. So also when that happens, I will see the wall that I know someone is blocking. So try to make your own thing. Like, tell a spirit guide, like if it's a spirit that's trying to interfere in a bad way, of trying to block out the other spirits to come through, maybe even your own grandmother, show me a fish or a wall, a car, a red stoplight, something that symbolizes that, you know, okay, there is a block happening here. You can even be like, okay, show me the Nine of Swords. You know, you can make it as simple or complicated as you want. Choose simple. But yeah, if there is this negative spirit or entity, close it off straight away. Signs why it could be a negative entity. I hope you will never experience that, but I am going to share this with you guys in case of something happens. Because if you are out there in another house doing it, you don't know what's there. You don't know what skeletons there is in the closets, right, hiding in the walls. So signs why it could be demonic. And I even hate to say it, but I'm going to say it anyway. Why it can be negative or very bad spirit is if you feel dizzy, if you feel sick, like you need to vomit, headaches. Sometimes I've experienced that my heart race gets strong, like in a very uncomfortable way, out of nowhere. That's not a positive spirit. No. It's not because that you have an anxiety going on. Well, it could be, but it's a bad sign. Stomach pain, back pain. A lot of people have asked me why the back. Well, Kundalini energy, right? We have our spine, Kundalini energy. There's a lot of juicy details, a lot of magic happening. There's a lot of memories that stored in our back. Memories. What is it that spirit is trying to tap into if they want to manipulate you? Your memories. So if you're trying to contact grandmother, they will tap into your back. They will tap into your memories to confuse you, right? So if the wall comes up, you know, it's a manipulative bastard. So if you just, again, feel uncomfortable, it's not a good sign. But not to fear it, because remember, you are the strongest. You are the stronger person, spirit here. Your spirit is way more powerful than any other douchebag spirits. So you can create your own remove tactic. One thing that I love to do, well, there's different ways, but for example, the wall. I can build a wall around this negative energy, and the wall is just turning smaller and smaller and smaller until it turns to dust, and then I know it's gone, it's away. You can also put a red light around the entity, the spirit, whatever it is, and make, well, either you can visualize the light going brighter and brighter until it explodes, disappears, or you can make it smaller and smaller until it turns to smoke or fairies or butterflies or whatever. You can use fire, again, use the pentagram. Maybe that's something that we should start doing automatically, right? Yeah, put that pentagram with the round thing around and then the flames over where you are, because then it should be strong enough to actually keep the negative away. I actually have a friend who, if there is something negative, oh, she also does it if like negative thoughts come into her mind. She visualizes the thoughts, but also if there is negative spirits as red balloons, and she pops the balloons and they just turns to, you know, I think she says that she visualizes it as smoke, and then the universe takes up the smoke and then it's gone. So you can do that too. No matter what you do, I love to use what we call prayer or affirmations after, and I have a tendency to say this a lot, especially at night, because recently I had an experience where I keep waking up by someone whispering or talking in my ear, and it didn't feel comfortable at all. So I always say, only light can be here, only light can come true, and only light can surround me. And then I say, thank you, spirit guides, for being here and protecting me. And then it's quiet. Obviously, I can also sometimes be firm and being like, go. The camera stopped. Obviously, sometimes I can also be very firm. It doesn't happen that often, because it's enough just saying my prayer. But I can also just be like, go. You don't belong here. Go. But again, you can do whatever you want. And this is actually it, people. I wonder how long this is going to be. This is the last thing that I wanted to talk with you guys about. I don't have anything else left. But yeah, that is the end of our ramble video. I will say I love to make the ramble videos like this, because my Libra ass does need the organization of just knowing what I'm talking about, what I do want to talk about, what I have talked about, and sectioning it off a little bit, especially with the chapters. So let me know, did you enjoy this? What topic that we spoke about today was most intriguing for you? What did you take from this? Also, I would love to know, did you see it all through at once? Because then you are a trooper. Or did you take it in chapters? Nevertheless, thank you guys so much. This has been a joy. Let me know in a comment what we should talk about next. It could be the most random thing ever. Again, there's no limits. If you have personal questions like how can I overcome my fear, or how can I get over my ex, or whatever it is, let's talk about it in the next ramble video. With that, I will see you guys on Monday. And yeah, I was just about to say sleep tight, especially with what we spoke about today. Remember to use the things that we spoke about if there is any fear crawling up. Know that you're stronger than you think. And with that, I will talk to you guys in my next video. Bye!